guys. Welcome. You are here with me, Lynn Sharif, on the Wise Wife Radio Show, and we are having episode number 4 today. Got a great session for you. There is a lady. She's a licensed sex therapist, and she has gone viral on TikTok because she is insisting that the key to a healthy sex life with your spouse is to have daily makeout sessions. Daily makeout sessions. So this lady named Vanessa Marin is saying that she and her husband have makeout sessions every single night. Because what she believes is that when you have been married for a minute, it's fair to say that hotness might fade over time. And if you are passionately kissing your spouse, that the expectation could be perhaps that sex is supposed to come right after that. So it's that concept of, okay, when we were first going out, we could not keep our hands off of each other. But now that life has set in, the routine has happened. And if we are going to have sex, it may start out with kissing. And so that could be a problem over time. That could be a problem over time because if you stop kissing so much and only kiss when you are initiating sex, then for a woman, and it could be men too, but a woman, what if she really doesn't feel like it? And so, like, why should I kiss? Because if I don't really feel like having sex, what's the point of doing this kissing? But what she is, this Miss Marin is asserting is that we need to tear down that wall that says that passionate kissing has to lead to sex. And so that's what her experiment is. It's like, you know what? We're just going to kiss every night. And I mean, like, not, mwah. I'm not talking that. I'm not talking peck. I'm talking full on kiss with tongue, all that. So passionately kissing every night so that we can start building that muscle memory that every passionate kiss does not have to lead to sex. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, drop it in the chat if this is something that you already do or if it's something that sounds interesting to you. It sounds really interesting to me because I get that part. So when I was talking about, say, for a woman, if she is not interested in having sex and she has this passionate kiss, you could end up maybe just kind of bristling, like, you know, just any kind of touch, any type of sex. If I'm not interested in having it, then you bristle. And that's not the mentality that we want to continue, because really this hypervigilance, believing that any touch or kiss has to always lead to sex, that's not that's not really good for creating that passion and when I say passion, I mean that kind of intimacy that you want to have with your spouse. So it actually seems counterintuitive to say, in order to have that type of connection with your spouse, to kiss every night. I think that could work. It could work because it's not going to be this rote, okay, we kiss, we have sex. It is, and think about it. I'm not sure if you know, but there is science behind it. There is a burst of a hormone when you deep kiss your spouse. It's called oxytocin. And it is what they call the love hormone. It helps you feel more bonded, helps you with monogamy. It really does help to keep you connected to your spouse. And so you want to create that and have that on a regular basis and not have it just as a baseline for sex. So I get it. If you're a tired mom, I know you have kids, you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're doing all the things every night. But then can you potentially at this end and just say, you know what? And it doesn't, I mean, we're not talking about when you're dating and you're in the backseat or, in the car for 20, 30 minutes, deep kissing. But I'm saying, can you just do one nice deep kiss a day with tongue? No pecking, no pecking allowed. No, I'm talking deep kiss once a night. So who's down to try it? I am down to try it. I am definitely down to try it because I do want to maintain that connection. I know you too, if you're watching this, you are interested in trying to maintain a connection with your spouse. So let's give this a whirl and let me know. Let me know how it's going. And it's not a big commitment. It's not a big commitment. So I thought that was really a very cool experiment. So the other thing I want to talk about today is this concept of marital bed undefiled. Marital bed undefiled. What does that even mean? What does that mean? So it's a concept that's in the Bible. And the way it really is to be interpreted is that it's for you and your spouse. But here's the deal. I actually had a friend once tell me that she believed that phrase meant that God only wants you to have sex in a missionary position. Really? Really? Let me just say, I don't believe that at all. I do not believe that. And when you take a look at what marital bed undefiled means, it does mean God honoring, but guess what? God made sex. God is so nice. He is so nice that he made this. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's really cool. But it does also mean exclusive. So it's you and your spouse. I cannot speak to anything outside of that. If you're talking, swinging or three people no, that's not what it means. So it's exclusive, it's God honoring, and it's loving, and it's other oriented. Remember, I said before that you do have to be in it for your spouse, even if you don't feel like it at the moment. Can I just help cheer you across the finish line? And there are many ways that you can cheer your spouse across the finish line. I'm not trying to get put off this radio program, but I'm just wanting to really be clear with you that this does not mean it has to be missionary only. It does not mean that. Undefiled means that as long as it's God honoring, it's exclusive, you're being other oriented, and it's happening on a regular basis. You're not using sex as a weapon against your spouse, withholding, that kind of thing. Whatever y'all decide you want to do, it's your marital bed. Let it ride. Do what you do because God created sex. He's so nice. He's so nice. So if you don't have any questions about that, and again, if you're watching this on replay, please drop some comments. I definitely want to hear your thoughts about this. Marital bed undefiled. Let's go down with the missionary only. We should make a t-shirt, missionary only. No, that's not working. And also, if you're down to really try this experiment to deep kiss your spouse every day. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and I've got a wonderful guest that we will be welcoming to the show in just a moment. You are tuned in to Intellectual Radio, the Wise Wife radio program. I am Lynn Sharif, and we have been having some great conversation today about all things marriage. But we're back, and I want to introduce our guest for today. And we're going to call our guest Miss Demita. And let me tell you why I have Miss Demita as a guest today. So you remember in one of our past shows, I really wanted to encourage you in your marriage and discourage you from getting a divorce. Because, we all know a gazillion people that have been divorced. And I want you to have the happy marriage that you dreamed about the day that you walked down the aisle. But sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Divorce is inevitable in some scenarios. I understand. I have been divorced. This is my second and last marriage to Chef Sharif. We are married like the mob. You get in, but you don't get out. But Miss Demita has a really interesting story because she was married, walked down the aisle till death do us part. And guess what? She got divorced. But guess what? She remarried the same guy. So welcome to the Wise Wife radio program, Demita. How are you?
I am so good. I am so good and so honored to be a part of this great show. And listening to some of the things you said earlier, I could not stop laughing, Lynn, because what you said about the daily smooch, that is a hard and fast rule in my house.
Oh.
But it's a hard and fast rule in my house. I know people who don't kiss for days at a time.
That's true.
Unacceptable in our household. There's kissing all the time.
With tongue?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'm just checking.
Is there any other way to do it?
Well, some people think the peck is just going to get them through. So.
Oh, no. Because the peck will sometimes get you through. But when I am a person who really likes to kiss, and I'm so fortunate to have married not once, not twice, but 3 times to somebody who also loves to kiss. So there you go.
I love it.
There you go.
So you're down for the tongue down challenge. Love it.
Every day.
Every day.
Yes, ma'am.
Every day. So I want to hear, when you got married, how long were you married before you felt that divorce was your end?
You mean before I lost my mind? Well, it was a little over 2 years. We got married in October of 94. I lost my mind and left January of 97. And during that time, I discovered what I really didn't know that I didn't know, and that is I wasn't as mature as I thought I was, because my husband and I did not get together as kids. We were good and old and grown. When we got married, I was 34 and he was 44. Mm-hmm. So I thought that I was ready, but like many other times in life, when you think you're ready for something, just like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get hit. And
that is so true.
I was sure that I was ready. And what happened was, as we hit a few bumps, like all marriages do, no matter how old you are. All marriages hit a little bump. We hit a few bumps, and then I fell back into that. I've been on my own since I was 19. I can do fine all by myself.
Wow.
And the concept of, being with somebody and you being the other person's help, and they helping you in not just financial ways, but in every other way. I just fell back into that old thought pattern of, I've been doing fine. I've been living on my own since I was 19. So I figured I'll just go back to that. And it was a bad idea. A very bad idea.
It's funny that when you talk about that, falling into old patterns, when I've talked about counseling and why some people need counseling, and if you're out there and you have this feeling that you may not need it, keep in mind that a lot of times people come into marriage with flawed narratives. What Ms. Demita described was a flawed narrative. I can do this all by myself. Did you actually say, I really don't need a man? Did you say that?
I did not say that. Now, I kind of figured that things would kind of be better with a man, but I also knew that I wasn't ready for difficulties with a partner. I figured I can handle difficulties of mine by myself, and you go on and handle your stuff, I'll handle my stuff. And it was just an immature thought process, because the concept of getting married is what? We're going to get in this thing together. We're going to help each other out. We're going to help each other with whatever the difficulties that come along. And yeah, it's just, and I don't want to make this a colored thing, but I like to laugh and say I fell back into that black woman child. I can do bad by myself, that kind of thing. And it's easy to fall back into that, because when I met him, I had been on my own since I was 19. So
Understood.
That is what happened.
So before you left, did you consider or try counseling when you all hit the inevitable bumps in the road?
Oh, I was so hoping you didn't ask that and I'd have to let the world know how stupid I was. I did not. It was one of those things, being the kind of person that I am, I sat down and decided I'm leaving. And when I made that decision, it was excluding all the other options. It was not like, okay, let me try this, and this, and then maybe I'll leave. It was like, you know what? I'm out. And that's exactly what I did. And to this day, I tell people it was one of the dumbest things I've ever done. Now, who's to say? If I had counseling, would I have still left? I may have. I can't say that I would not. But I can say that I regret. I totally regret not going to counseling. And I totally understand the need for it. And I have counseling for other things. But for some reason, I didn't have it for this.
And when you left, because one of the things that I've said to people is that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you left, were you indifferent to your husband? Did you care?
I did, because I also say to myself and to others, if he were not my husband, he'd be like my super close guy friend. We would hang out. We would be buddies. And the thing about my leaving and our divorce, it was not contentious. It never got ugly. And that was the difficulty in me explaining to people what happened, because everybody was waiting for the story. There was not one.
Okay.
There was not a story. I decided that I thought I wanted to get out here and just do it by myself again. I decided I wasn't happy. I went back out here dumbly and did my thing, and it never got ugly. I stayed in the house until the very day that it was time for me to leave, until the moving truck came.
I see.
It was never ugly.
When you left and you all were divorced, did you date?
We did not date. And I hear about people still getting together and doing things while they're divorced. My husband is not like that. And especially after I actually went to court and stood in front of the judge, which I didn't require him to go with me. I really didn't want to. I went in front of the judge. I divorced him, and we did not date. What we did do, we still had a very decent relationship, and we still talked to each other every now and then. We still, did things, business things for each other. Sometimes he did my taxes and things like that. So again, it was just not a bad situation. I tell people he was hurt and I was silly, and I made a big mistake and I hurt him. But I'm so glad that it didn't get that way, because maybe if we had gotten to a point, if I had acted ugly before I left, we may not have had the opportunity to reconnect, because, things are said during times like that can't be taken back.
Absolutely.
And so that is what I didn't want to do. So we both kind of kept our distance, but we were friends, but we did not date.
Did you date other people?
I did.
And how was that comparison?
you said the operative word. I compared everything about everybody that I went out with to my husband. And of course, none of them lived up to that because my husband treats me and I feel the way I've always thought I'd feel in a good relationship. I feel that way with my husband. And so when I got back out there and I started, talking to other people and, going out with other people, it did not compare. No one treated me or made me feel the way he did. So I'm sure you're saying to yourself, well, then why'd you leave? Because, it's more complicated than that.
Of
It's more
course.
complicated than just he makes me feel loved and he's a good man and all that. It gets complicated.
Understood. That I completely understand that. So during this time of your estrangement or divorce, how long into it did you start to recognize that you had been dumb?
I believe, I started kind of trying to get the ball rolling again, early fall of 99. So I had been gone for 2 years. And I started thinking about it. And I tell people that I used to believe that if I ever looked back and regretted what I did, that I would sit straight up in the bed in the middle of the night and scream, "Oh my God, what have I done?" But it did not happen like that. It happened very softly. And he did something for me, and I took him to a concert. I had some concert tickets, and I asked him, did he want to go? As repaying him for this favor he did for me. And I will never forget, we were driving down the expressway on our way home from the concert, and I looked over at him, and the universe said to me, just like I'm talking to you, said it's time to go home. And that was it. And I started writing, and I'm very good with expressing my thoughts on paper, and I started just filling up yellow legal pads with what I thought about what had happened and what would happen if we tried to get back together and who would do what and who would think what and what would our family think. So just lots and lots of paper. And I started sending them to him, and he read them, and we started talking about it, and it just became that thing. And do you know that a couple of years ago, and we've been back together 23 years, he pulled them out of his office and said, look what I found. He still had them.
Wow.
These pieces of yellow legal size paper with all these questions on it.
So if you're just joining us, we have Miss Demita who's on the line, and she is describing that she and her husband divorced. They were separated, divorced for a number of years. She dated, but then they ended up remarrying. So we are going through that story. So you compared the people that you dated to your ex-husband.
Absolutely.
She admitted or recognized, of course, in hindsight, but there was a slow dawning realization that her reasons for doing it, for divorcing her husband, was just that she was dumb. And so we have all done dumb things. We've all done dumb things. But what I love is that you have to really have a very honest self-assessment. And the other thing that Ms. Demita shared with us is that she never even considered counseling prior to her getting divorced. And so, nonetheless,
ergo the dumb part.
Yes. So the universe spoke to you and told you that you need to go home. And how long after the universe spoke to you did you go back?
Well, so after this concert, I started writing this information down. I asked him to come by and to pick it up. And I said, you don't have to read this now. Sit down, read it, think about it. Just let me know your thoughts. So he did that, and we started dating. So for his birthday, I took him out to lunch, I believe, for his birthday in 99. And from then on, we started dating. And and we started talking about what may be, what may be. And since we had been married before, it's not like we needed some long engagement. So it probably was 3 months or so when we decided, okay, we're going to do this again. But when I say that we were divorced, Lynn, we were divorced. We were not just separated. I went to court. I stood in front of a judge who asked me, I love to think about, he asked me, he said he noticed I wasn't asking for anything in my petition because I did my own divorce. And he said, I noticed that you're not asking for anything. And he said, you don't want your name back? And do you know what I told him? Nah, I think I may need that again one day. And he just looked at me and said, okay, well, fine. After I hit the gavel, it's over. I said, okay, I understand that. So like I said, about three months or so, and we decided, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then we started planning. We actually had another wedding, but it was private, but another wedding, another everything. And we were back together.
I love it. And you said it earlier that you all have been back together for 23 years. How long were you married the first time?
Years. We were married a little over 2 years, almost 2.5 years. We were only actually divorced. Technically, we were divorced just a little over a year because the divorce didn't happen right away. That happened in 98, fall of 98. So we were only divorced a little over a year, but it was a complicated situation, and I'm so grateful that it did not get ugly, and I'm so grateful that I learned the huge lesson, which I should have known from my husband anyway, since he's such a patient and such a forgiving guy. First of all, to take me back, I know how forgiving he is. The transparency and the honesty and the that needs to be there when you marry somebody. It needs to be there so that person can trust you. And I think about that all the time with my husband because we do trust each other. And if I had have done some things that he did not trust,
you may not.
I don't think I want to say that. I'll say it like this. We all have some deal breakers. He trusted that I did not break any of those deal breakers, and he believed me when I told him. So if he did not trust me, he would not have didn't know that I never cheated on him when we were married and things like that.
Understood.
That's why we were able to get back together, because he believed and took me at my word, and he forgave me, and he has taught me about the need to forgive and the need to move on from things. And he has never one time, and whether anybody believes this or not, but he has never one time brought up in a negative way our divorce or me leaving. About once or twice a year, he makes a joke. Other than that, he has never brought it up. That's the kind of guy he is. So that's why I tried to get him back.
I understand. I understand. And so if you, if there is a woman, and I certainly, folks, want you to share this, if you know someone who is at the brink of divorce, share this story with them. And what's one thing that you would say to a woman who might be at the brink of divorce, having gone through all of your ups and downs, dumb then smart, and all the growth that you have had over the last 23 years, what would you offer to that woman?
I would compel her to look very deep at the reasons that she's about to divorce. If they're ridiculous things like me, by all means, please don't do it. But if you do, divorce was created for some reason. Some people, as you said earlier, do not need to be together. So if you're marinating on if I should stay, hoping that the next time he beats me up, he won't kill me. If you're doing stuff like that, then you need to, maybe consider making another move. But it's very important that you understand your real reason and then try to figure out, is there a way that it can be fixed? And then try and work on that. I didn't work on it. Even as much opportunity as I had, and as great a guy as my husband is, I did not work on it. I simply made up my mind and walked away. It was a mistake. It was a very bad mistake. So think on it. Do get counseling so that you can figure out the reasons why you should or should not stay. Maybe you need some help digging a little deeper, which is what I should have gotten. I should have had somebody help me look a little deeper and figure it out. But thank God, 23. We are 23 years next month.
Congratulations.
23 years. Thank you.
And I so appreciate, and I'm sure everyone listening appreciates your transparency in talking about when you were not in a good place. Because what I always say is that you cannot fall off the floor. So doesn't matter where you start. It matters where you end up. So I so appreciate you sharing the story. And if anyone has any questions, you can certainly drop them in the chat. But we've been hearing from Miss Demita, who described her story, her journey of having been married, divorced, and married again to the same man. So thank you so much, Demita.
You are so welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Great. So if you're just joining us, we have had a wonderful conversation today. We talked about a few things. I have a deep kiss challenge going on because I want to help people maintain that level of intimacy in their marriage, and that deep kisses, tongue kisses, not pecks, tongue kisses don't always have to lead to sex. And if you can create an environment in your marriage where you have a tongue down once a day, regardless of what's going on, that can help you to maintain that level of intimacy. And it doesn't always have to lead to sex, but at least you guys will be connected. And then we talked about what marital bed undefiled means. And we are going to make a t-shirt that says that it does not mean that it's missionary only. You need to get your life and recognize that that is not what God intended. God is so nice. He created orgasms. He's really, really nice. And so I want you to know that as long as you're honoring God, you all are doing it on a regular basis, and it's not a situation where one person is asking the other person for something that you don't like at all, undefiled, meaning that the two of you agree on it. And it's loving and oriented to each other. I need you to just make it happen and get it. Okay? So if you are interested in having a marital coach, I want you to go to lenthewisewife.com. lenthewisewife.com. If there is something that you're interested in having a conversation about on the show, I'd love for you to email me at len@lensharif.com. And I would certainly love to hear from you. And we will be here next week, same time, same place. So appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot.